Alam. 170. Okay. He had said that in nature you find specific things which always function exactly as they're meant to function. Never change. Fire always burns. Water always cools. You have instinctive behavior in living creatures. The instinct always dictates its identical behavior. A human being who has free choice, your behavior is very often, it's not identical every day, because every day or every moment we have the ability to choose how we want to behave or function. Now, how is it indicated that God does as he chooses to do and he's not locked into a system? God, he wants to show that he has free will and he's not compelled and he's not in need and it's not mutpa. It's not in his nature. Like I say every day, you know, when we say the Shemona Esrei, we say, okay, hagodol hagiba v'anora. Right? What is the meaning? Hagodol hagiba v'anora. God is great, he's powerful, he's awesome. What does that refer to? What? Chesed, din, and rachmim. Then what do we say? Kel Elyon. What is Kel Elyon? He's the exalted God. Those are not his innate characteristics. We don't know what his innate characteristics are. He chooses to be chesed, din, and rachmim. That's his choice. That's the way he chooses to interact with existence. But what's his essence? He's Kel Elyon. He transcends anything of what is existence. That's his choice. He's demonstrating his choice. You know, it's interesting. You know what the other side of the coin is. There is no God. Everything's random. If you believe there's a God, then we see his chesed, we see his rachmim, we see his din. So you see, God chooses to act differently at different times for different reasons. Because otherwise it should always be, there should be one approach. But if you say, you know something, it doesn't make any sense. Is it A, B, C, or D? What is it? You know something? There is no God. Right? That's the alternative. But if you believe there is a God, now what is this God's ability? He's free to choose based on his evaluation, or whatever that may be, and therefore he acts differently at different times. Because the world can't exist otherwise. Because the world has a purpose. You have to have seasons, right? You have change. A person lives and he dies, right? You come into existence, you advance, and then you decline. That's what it is. That's what life is.
We know that God can override the system, but the system is fairly set. I mean,
correct.
And that's for the purpose of what?
No, but that's what he says. Osa advarim mishtanim zeh mizeh. The reason why there's no uniformity in existence, each one complements, but they're no two things the same. So if you believe in a creator, what is creation? That he has all these abilities, and many of these abilities are contradictory abilities. Fire, water, right? One burns, one cools down. God has the ability both. So that means he could demonstrate one or the other. It's up to him. No, if you say the world is on automatic pilot, then there's no indication of what he can do. You understand? Once he launches, he sets the system, he has no control of this than something else. Then he has no choice any longer. But if you believe he's that every aspect of existence, although they're contradictory aspects, you know, it's interesting. What impacted power more than anything of all the plagues? Borod. Why? Because it was contradictory. It was fire and water were in effect simultaneously. What was his response? Hashem atzadik v'ani v'amei rishoyim. This confirms. Until then, it was only a magnification of nature. Right? It was the degree. Here, it's two things within nature contradicting one another. That tells me he controls. He's in control. These deities are not what? Independent deities, powers. And they are only one thing. He's able to override the whole system over here. Otherwise, how do they coexist? He wills fire should burn, but when he wills it differently, they could coexist. Fire and water. Follow me. Why didn't they change him? Because he had a short memory, right? It had a phenomenal impact. But when he saw that he had a respite from this, he saw that that 2 of the crops weren't destroyed. Right? It says, God hardened his heart. As a normal human being, I mean, you'd say, you know something? You're welcome to leave. Okay? You know, this reminds me, many years ago, there's a certain person, everybody, many people, he's a professed atheist. And he says that, and he's, at one time, I don't know, today, one of the best people in the market. And he said to me, you know, he can't accept God because he needs, the word he owes you, empirical evidence. He needs empirical evidence. He says, like I, when I had the market, you know, you have to know exactly, you know, the trends of the market. That's the reason why he's so successful. So when the market crashed, when was it? In the 80s. So he lost in one day $500 million. Yeah? So I called him up just to find out how he was doing. You know? So I said to him, I said, how you doing, this and that? I said to him, I said, according to you, everything's empirical. This is when the guy's down and out and you kick him. I said, according to you, everything is empirical evidence. I mean, according to you, based on the trends, this shouldn't have happened. So evidently, it happened for a reason. Because based on your understanding of the markets, so why did it happen? That's the question I asked him. He says, no, you don't understand. This is supposed to happen every once in a while. It's the question, how deep the valley is, right? You have peaks and you have valleys. This is one of the deep valleys. So what does Hashem do to this guy? You know, it's like Vayezek Hashem is like Paro. After everything crashed, he still had a lot of money. He bought up everything for nothing afterwards because everybody sold, and he even became wealthier. So you see, that only confirms his position that everything is empirical evidence. And the deeper the valley, the higher the peak afterwards. Okay. To be continued. What?